name is Myron McLeod. I'm 97 years old. I'm the only son of Myron McLeod, manager, owner of the Patricia Theatre. My father worked for Bobby Scanlon as a doorman and projectionist. Way back in the teens, they built and opened the Patricia Theatre, the present Patricia Theatre, in November of 1928. I was born in April of the same year, and the reason I know of the opening date is I was there as a babe in arms. This is a copy of the original program for the opening in November 1928. And nobody talks too much about the team of the Patricia Theatre, both male and female, who worked there over the years, such as Joe Buck, Ernie Hammerton, Jack Hammerton, Bob Hatch, and many others. My mother was also secretary for a small period in the early 50s. The main showing was the Saturday night, which ran also on Monday night. And Saturday night was the Movietone news night as well. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and they were usually B movies. And then of course there was the Thursday and Friday movies, which were generally Westerns, musicals, or love stories, or whatever. And of course sometimes if it was a good Western, Dad would keep those for the matinee on Saturday for the kids. Each one of these films, whether they be a cartoon or a newsreel, came with a leader film at the beginning and a tail to protect the actual films. And Ernie's job was to cut these leaders and tails off and reattach them later when we were finished showing the film. And then after, it was all taken apart and put back together and put into the shipping containers, and where Joe would pick them up and take them to the dock where they were shipped back to the film exchange in Vancouver. When these reels were received, they were called shipping reels, and many of them were bent and not suitable to put on our machines because they would slow the speed of the machine down. So they were transferred to house machines, which were new and very good. And they would run approximately 10 minutes or 12 minutes a reel. Looking at the front of the store, the building, on the left was the sweet shop, and that was a soda fountain. The sweet shop in later years was taken over by a fellow by the name of Jack Dunning and his wife, and turned it into a diner. On the right-hand side, looking at the building, in my day, was Otto Peterson's Jewelers, Henry Pavid. He was not only the manager, he was a projectionist and organist. He played the organ as the customers were coming in at 7, and at 7 o'clock he'd whip up the aisle upstairs to the projection booth and start the movie. And then at 9 o'clock he'd whip down against the outgoing traffic down the aisle to the organ and play the organ again. And when everybody was back in and seated for the second movie at 9 o'clock, he'd whip back up and show the movie again. And at the end of the movie at 11 o'clock, he'd whip back down and play the organ as everybody left. And here is a newspaper picture of him playing the organ. There were many young girls that loved to work at the theater as cashiers or usherettes. And they were a great group. People should be interested in hearing as to how the Patricia worked and how it was so successful over so many years.